Subscribe to this podcast and other podcasts now from Stage to Stream.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Role Players, where theater guys talk about sports like we know what we're doing. I'm Jonathan Long, here with my friend. Some people would call him my best friend, Jonathan Hoskins.
What up? How you doing, man?
I am doing all right. Just trying to survive. Still in a global pandemic as we approach the upcoming fate of the United States.
See, I was expecting you to say, I'm doing great because my Pittsburgh Steelers, but I do forget we are in a global pandemic and, the election of our lifetimes.
I have a little bit of positivity despite what we're going through, but it's still just a hair.
Well, we're doing this, because we love to do it, but also to give everyone listening out there a little distraction because this is going to be one crazy week. But I did want to give some shout outs because the sports leagues, it may be some baby steps, but we're all supporting the act of voting in general.
Yes, because voting is one of the most important things we have on our plate right now.
Yeah, and I think everybody should want to vote. I don't really understand if you think campaigning for more people to vote is the wrong thing to do. That makes no sense to me. But it was the least these sports leagues could do, and I think the NBA definitely set the tone.
Yeah,
Did it at a way higher level. Right?
Definitely kudos to Adam Silver. I think he handled both the shutdown and the racial injustice in a way that most other leagues would be afraid to do. I mean, we talk about the NFL and how they have end racism in green on a green field.
Right.
Whereas the NBA, like you had stated in some of our other conversations, predominantly displayed it on the side of the court where everyone could see it. There was no mistaking whether or not they were taking a stand.
Right. And if you play, I think it's on Madden, where it says Black Lives Matter like in the menu. At least I don't have the latest Madden, so maybe they only did it on the old one. But it's crazy that the video game of your sport is willing to have
video game of your sport is more progressive than you are.
Yeah. And progressive in like the moving forward sense. But yeah, we'll move off politics because y'all are going to get enough of that this week. And we're going to get to sports. Let's start here, the NFL. We just finished week 8. That means we're roughly halfway through the season. A weird season, but long. Pittsburgh Steelers fan. How you feeling, man? Big win yesterday.
I'm feeling better than I have in the past with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm extremely excited. I really think we have one of the more interesting teams in the NFL. I mean, the last undefeated team, one of the best, if not the best defense in the NFL. Yeah, we had some holes in our defense this week, but we got it done when it needed to get done.
Yeah, I saw that. I think this was the first time maybe ever, or if not, it was some godly year that it wasn't real football, where a team outrushed their opponent by 200 or more yards and outthrew their opponent. So more passing yards and more rushing yards by 200 yards and lost. And that's what happened to Baltimore. And, I watched the majority of that game, and you and I were talking, and you could tell that the more Lamar Jackson had to throw, the more trouble the Ravens were in. He just did not look comfortable.
Right. And I think the thing that Pittsburgh did that, the Ravens had more yards both on the ground and in the air. But the positive from that was the reason that is our defense was on the field a lot because, they scored touchdowns. They got picks in short field. They got turnovers in spots where the offense didn't have to drive as much. And our offense was kind of stale in the first half, I will say that. But the second half, we played a lot better offensively and looked like a team that, is good on both sides of the ball, which is completely opposite of the week before against the Titans, where we went up big and then just disappeared offensively.
My thing about the Steelers, and I guess we'll talk more about this later when we get into our bigger picture ideas with the future and who's going to be in the Super Bowl. But the Steelers can win a lot of different kind of games, right? Big Ben was basically playing backyard football and calling every single play.
He even said it. He said, we were playing backyard football. I was pretty much telling everybody what to do. It wasn't a lot of play call.
At the same time, you have a defense that can score touchdowns and really dominate a game.
I mean, the defense got the offense points on both opening drives of the halves. I'm not saying that the defense scored the touchdown on the opening drive of the second half, but they got the ball in a position where the offense didn't have to work that hard to score that touchdown. And they opened the game with a pick six. So
right,
our defense is really good. It forces turnovers. It forces forced fumbles. I mean, Lamar had a forced fumble and two interceptions. I mean, we're good at that turnover differential, and I think it's going to be hard to beat us if we can keep that up.
Totally. And the thing about the Ravens is really concerning is they win big when they win, but I don't think they can win a lot of different kind of games. It seems like they really have to be in control, because you knew that game was going to end up being close, and Lamar was going to have to make plays in the air, and it was like, if he can do it now, we'll see that growth. But I don't know if it's just him or their receivers. I don't think are the best. Hollywood Brown complaining about his targets. But anyway, we'll talk more about the Ravens in the future. So the next game I wanted to talk about this week is a game that had no consequence. It was on Thursday Night Football, and it was the Battle of the South, the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. So I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, I guess. And
you're a Panthers fan. You're just not really happy with what's going on right now.
You're right. Because if they ever win a Super Bowl, I will leap so much. I will jump for joy. I will be ecstatic.
I mean, you've been around since the Carolina Panthers started, and like we're both Carolina boys, and so like you want to cheer for them, but it's hard to be excited with where they are right now.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, well, I'll say, we've had a good season. It seems like the coaching hire was great, but losing to the Falcons is always bullshit. And to me, what I see from the Panthers, y'all don't care about this maybe, but I'm tired of this zone, man. Look, we run zone all the time, all right? It's the Seattle zone, okay? We run it more than anybody else in the league. We have more snaps with zone coverage than anybody else. You know who's really good against zone coverage? Drew Brees and Matt Ryan. We got to play these motherfuckers 4 times. Oh, yeah, and there's another quarterback that's really good against it. Who is it? Who's that other white quarterback who doesn't have that strong of an arm? Oh, yeah, Tom Brady.
Who you added to the league just recently. If it was still Jameis Winston, it'd be a little different.
So the last time when we beat Atlanta already this season, and we thought our game plan was going to work, but Matt Ryan way better against zone than man coverage. His numbers suck against man coverage. We should have just run it, but I get why we were scared, because we don't have a cornerback that can hang with Julio Jones.
Who did?
Now, speaking of Julio Jones, let's get to the most important team who really showed out this weekend.
Dalvin!
So, Jonathan, catch us up, man. What's up with Dalvin and the Chipmunks? How'd y'all do this week?
Well, Dalvin and the Chipmunks had the best week we've ever had. So I had a bit of a stinker last week. I put up an L in a close game. I was a little upset. I was sitting at 4-3,
and that's with Dalvin Cook and Aaron Jones on the bench, right? Those are your running backs.
Right. And both so this week, I got to yeah. Well, Dalvin Cook was on a bye week that week, but was still on an injury from the week before. But this week, as it stands right now, we still have the Monday Night Football game to go, so it might end up being a nail biter. But the current score is 90.8 to 175.16. So,
damn.
Unless Ronald Jones II can put up approximately 80 points, I should be fine. But no, we had a great week. Dalvin Cook went off. He had 4 touchdowns, 3 on the ground and 1 in the air.
That was a historic fantasy football performance, right? Like
a total of 48.6 points.
That's like, did McCaffrey do that last year? I don't think so.
I don't think so. But I also had to pick up running backs on the fly because I was still short a running back because my backup running back for James Robinson that plays for Jacksonville, he was on a bye, so I didn't really have a running back. So I picked up Damian Harris from New England, and he was solid, gave me 102 yards and a touchdown.
That was a really
So,
good
I mean,
pickup, man. He's apparently looked really good for them. The only concern is that Bill Belichick just like will not. He's not gonna overload one dude as a running back. It's never what he's done.
Right. But I had to pick up somebody, so I went on a limb, picked up Damian Harris. Julio Jones had a great game, 20 points. Robert Woods had a great game.
Julio.
But I mean, I had a great week, so it looks like I'm going to be staying at the top of my side of the fantasy football divisions. Hoping that I can keep moving up the ranks. The number one player just lost his game this week pretty handedly. I mean, he scored 85 points, and the person he played scored 130. So if we can keep this up, I think I can win at least win my division, if not win the whole thing. So
Well,
just pray for no injuries, y'all.
yes, for your fantasy football team. Those of you who practice prayer, please use it for Long's fantasy football team, named after a cartoon.
Dalvin!
So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look ahead to week number 9.
Week 9.
We got a pretty good Thursday night game, but everything else looks like shit, right?
I mean, the Sunday night game is important, but it's not one that I'm excited for.
What's Sunday night?
It's the Saints and the Bucks.
Oh yeah, I'm not excited because one of those teams have to win, unless they tie.
Right. But it's an important game.
Yeah, when we get to that game, I got some things to talk about with the Saints. But okay, so let's just go in order here. Packers at Niners. So the spread, the Packers are favored by 2.5. Long, and this is at the 49ers. So what's your first impression there?
It depends on who's playing quarterback for the 49ers.
Yeah. These odds are kind of hard to find because of that Jimmy G injury.
If Jimmy G is playing, regardless, maybe he shouldn't play. He hasn't been that good all year. Let's go Nick Mullens. But no, I think the Packers are going to walk out with this one. I don't know if it's going to be a 2-point game. I think it's going to be a little bit bigger than that. But I do think the Packers are going to get a win.
Yeah, it's crazy because what's more important to me is the Aaron Jones injury. Because Nick Mullens and Jimmy Garoppolo have not been too different this season. The Niners have just been
saying something because they make a lot different in money.
Yeah, seriously. That contract doesn't look too good. But I still like the 49ers. They just have some horrible injuries, and the Packers they need this one.
Yeah, they're coming off of a pretty heartbreaking loss. They were fighting back against Dalvin Cook and the rest of whatever that team is.
Wait. Hold on. Are we being silly here? I just remembered this.
What?
How did the Packers get eliminated last year?
Dang.
Didn't they lose horribly to the 49ers in both the regular season and the postseason last year? Because Kyle Shanahan trained Matt LaFleur. So Matt LaFleur does not know how to beat him.
Ooh.
That's tough. I might if that line comes out, especially if the Packers are favored by any more than 2.5, I might would put the 49ers on.
If Aaron Jones is playing, regardless, I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah. Man, that's gonna be tough. Man, that's really interesting game because I feel like Aaron Rodgers could be like, oh yeah, fuck y'all, I'm ball out, or this is just his kryptonite. He's not gonna do well. So definitely check out that injury report for the 49ers and the Packers on both sides. Okay, let's move on to the Baltimore Ravens versus the former Baltimore team, the Colts.
Which is looking more like a good game as the week gets closer. The Colts have been playing pretty good football, which is surprising to me.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really super surprised by it just because everything but quarterback seemed pretty locked in for them. They have a good offensive line. They got a good defense.
I was not a huge fan of the Phillip Rivers signing. I thought that he was a little out of his prime, but he's been doing pretty well.
I think a lot of that's Frank Reich, coach. I mean,
right.
What he did with Nick Foles.
The running back for Indianapolis had a good receiving game this week in Week 8, Nico Hines, and so I think that can be a more interesting game than I would have thought it would have been, 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay, so I'm thinking this is rather going to be the Ravens are mad as shit and they just stomp them. Okay. Or this is when the Ravens and Lamar Jackson get a sort of come from behind late second victory, right? We were talking earlier about when he has to throw the ball late in games against good teams, like they haven't been able to do it. They haven't been able to ever come from behind. But here's the thing. Colts have a good defense, but they also have Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers loves to lose close games. He loves to lose close.
Here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping this is where they implode. This is the downfall of the Baltimore Ravens. Not an injury downfall. I just hope they collapse. And that's just a selfish thing as a Steelers fan.
You know, man, I think that's kind of possible. I don't want to blow your head up because I know that that's coming from a pure fan spot. But yeah, I think the Ravens could be seeing their ceiling after losing to you guys and the Chiefs. Like I don't think they're going to throw in the towel, but I think they have some frustration, and we saw that with the Hollywood Brown tweet. I'm not saying that's probably going to happen, or they're definitely like that. I think they're well coached. They have a good culture and shit. But I could definitely see this be a bigger bump in the road than what it seems like.
It'll be interesting because the Ravens have been great against everything except top tier teams. You know, us, the Chiefs, and when they got to the playoffs last year, they collapsed. You know, and so it'll be interesting if they can play a team that's good and successfully finish the job. Because I do think that they could beat the Browns, they can beat the Bengals, they can beat the Patriots this year. Like, they can beat these teams that aren't doing so hot. But like when it comes to teams that are that have been successful this season, I don't know.
I don't know either. And, you know, it's about, like I said earlier, man, I think it's about winning games in different ways. And to be a great team, you have to be able to show that. Unless you're the Denver Broncos, then you just have to get lucky and get the Panthers in the Super Bowl. I'm okay. Because the next game on our slate is the Panthers at the Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you have a guess for what this line is, Long?
Is it at least 14?
No, it's not 14. It's not that high. It's 11 and a half.
Hey, I wasn't that far off.
You weren't, but 14 is a lot. They were favored by 20 against the Jets, but yeah.
I think they could really do some damage on you guys. I think it could be closer than 11, depending on, well, if your defense is going to play zone, I don't know.
Yeah, I think here's the good thing about this kind of defense is it protects against big plays. And we are a young defense, but we're fast. So
right.
I could see it like causing a couple problems for Mahomes, but like also
you guys have some good young players too. Like Jeremy Chin's great. Really been great this season. I like him a lot.
He's the best player in the NFL to have a shirt that doesn't cover his whole belly. Because I think Metcalf does, right? Metcalf's
at least this season.
Yeah. But he's better than Zeke, so. But I think ultimately, like the Panthers' offense is just not going to be able to keep up because.
Right, and that's where it becomes an issue, because if you stop the Chiefs a couple times, that's one thing, but consistently stopping the Chiefs and putting up points, it just doesn't seem like you're strong.
When your offense goes and only scores a field goal, that feels bad against the Chiefs. And the Panthers have been horrible in the red zone this year because they just don't have elite talent at quarterback position. And also McCaffrey's been out. McCaffrey's returning in all likelihood this game, so maybe that could be something. But Long, let me ask you, because I'm trying to be supportive of this Teddy Bridgewater guy, really trying to be supportive, man. And like I like the dude, and like I'm glad he's healthy and shit. But like, what do you think? What do you think as a not biased Panther fan? What do you think of Teddy?
I think Teddy Bridgewater is a backup that can win games.
Exactly. That's what he is.
I don't think he is a consistent starter. I think that, he can come in off the bench if your quarterback's having a bad game or if your quarterback's hurt and, either seal the game up if you need him, but like if you're asking him to consistently make reads and put up points, he hasn't proven that to me.
Also, he's horrible in bad weather. That's a real thing with him. And you think about his teams before have been Minnesota,
Domes,
New Orleans, Domes, exactly. And you're like, oh, well, he wears gloves. It shouldn't bother him. Why do you think he wears gloves, man? He wears gloves in normal games. The ball's slipping already. Sorry, man. I like really want to like Teddy Bridgewater, but I didn't think the signing was smart. They signed him for 3 years, so we're committed to that for 3 years. And, you know, I'm not going to say you can't win a Super Bowl with Teddy Bridgewater, but I think
I will.
Okay, here's my rebuttal to that. You could win a Super Bowl with Teddy Bridgewater because Jimmy Garoppolo got pretty close. So it would have to be like that good of a team.
Well, yeah, I mean, the skeleton that was Peyton Manning won one.
And that was the other example, and then Trent Dilfer. And Joe Flacco. Jesus. Jesus. But yeah, man, Teddy's frustrating. Patrick Mahomes is not.
You gotta have an elite defense to win that.
It's crazy.
And like your defense is good, but it's not that
good. Is anyone else going through Week 9 stopping at Panthers Chiefs and spending more time with the Panthers than the Chiefs? Oh, okay. We'll get back to the Chiefs and futures when we talk about. We're just gonna see who's better, the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Steelers. We know it's not the Ravens. Okay. Seahawks and Bills at Bills is who I got next. And the Seahawks are favored by 3. It was a good game considering the rest of the games on the slate this week.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen hasn't looked that great these last 2 or 3 weeks, man.
So you're saying that this isn't a battle of MVP candidates?
Not anymore, no.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. Look, if you said Josh Allen had the numbers to be an MVP candidate, that would be true. But if you thought he was going to sustain
in the first,
no.
Yeah, in the first 4 weeks, he definitely did. But right now, the MVP leaders are probably Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson.
So here's the interesting thing that the Patriots did yesterday to the Bills. Belichick was like, yeah, Josh Allen, yeah, I figured you out. Okay. So the Patriots didn't have anybody playing. It was like Cam Newton and your boy that was the running back who you picked up. Okay.
Yeah.
That was really it. And what the Patriots were doing, they were rushing 3, dropping 8, and they were just sitting there. They were like, all right, you got all the time in the world. Yeah. Go ahead, make a throw. And eventually you're going to fuck it up. And, you know, I kind of think Josh Allen is like, him and Lamar are similar in the sense of they still have a big hurdle to get over. Allen's a little different because I think he can bring a team back because he's just a gunslinger, but I don't think he's got the decision making when he gets flustered.
I think Josh Allen's ceiling is a little bit higher right now because I think he has the arm, and I think if he gets coached better, he could be.
I think, yeah. Well, I think this year is a different system for him offensively, and I think it's a better system for his skill set. I just think he's always going to have that not the best decision making. So I mean that can get a little better.
Right.
I think his comp is.
You're saying he's got a little Jameis Winston.
A little bit. He's got he's really got a little Big Ben in him. You know, at the beginning of his career, Ben was a little more mobile. Well, a lot more mobile because now he's not mobile at all. But I think like with the arm talent that he has and just like being a gunslinger, so maybe he could gain that. But even still, Big Ben is a little turnover prone, but it's typically all right. But I like the Seahawks in this game.
I do too. DK Metcalf has been phenomenal.
Dude, I think he's the best receiver in the league. I'm serious.
Yeah, I saw an article about that. Is DK Metcalf the best receiver? And it's hard not to agree. He's been great, man.
And it's like, I mean, maybe Hopkins is still up there. If Antonio Brown came back and is the exact same, he would be. But I don't think that's going to happen.
We'll see.
But especially with Russell Wilson with DK Metcalf, I think that's the best tandem. And I think Russell Wilson said he's like Jerry Rice, like he's going to be the best receiver. Like that, Russell Wilson blows a lot of smoke, but that seemed legit. And just like that receiver is LeBron. Like DK Metcalf is like LeBron running. Like he's a fucking athlete, man. It's crazy,
massive.
like, and he's so fast. But yeah, the Bills also have not looked pretty the past couple weeks. So I could see them surprising some people, and the Seahawks defense has just kind of been shitty. So wouldn't be super surprised if the Bills win because the Seahawks have to lose a couple games here, but I'm not going to go against Russell Wilson in that spot. Let's move on to the Broncos at Falcons. Two teams I don't like. Who do you think would be favored in this one?
Broncos, Falcons. Who cares?
Great. Let's move on. No, it's the Falcons -4. The Broncos, did you see their game at all yesterday?
No. Did anyone outside of Denver watch that game?
Yeah, I think some people in LA may have watched it, and some people with gambling problems. I fit into both those categories. So the Chargers were whooping their ass. I think it was like 27-7 or something like that. And then the Broncos, led by Drew Lock, came all the way back.
Drew Lock.
It was very interesting, and it didn't matter. Says more about the Chargers than anyone. And the Falcons, don't be fooled by them beating the Panthers. Okay, don't be fooled by that. Matt Ryan is always better against us. They are still
the Falcons.
Yeah, they're still the Falcons. I'd say it's a pick 'em. So if the Falcons are favored by 4, I would put money on the Broncos there. Let's just move along to the Lions at Vikings. Jesus, this week is so bad.
If the Vikings play like they did and Dalvin has a game like he did, then they're hard to beat. But
yeah, who the hell knows? Both these teams are inconsistent as shit.
They're so wishy-washy, man. Like, one week the Vikings will look like the best offensive team you've seen in the first half and then blow it up in the second half and almost let a team come back. And then the other week, they don't even show up at all. So I wouldn't put money on this game at all unless the odds were widespread.
Yeah. If one of them gets a lead, I might put money on the other team in the game. Because one of these teams will lose this game. I don't know if there will be a winner. Okay, the next game, it looks like our biggest – or the two best teams record-wise showed down here. But, man, I don't want to watch this one either. Bears at Titans. Titans are favored by 5.5.
Titans did not look good.
That 5.5 is going to change.
They did not look good this week.
No, the Titans' defense is horrible. And then if they can't really run the ball and sustain that, they're not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears, depending on the spread, might be a nice little pick there.
I don't know, man. Their offense looks so bad against the Saints. Holy crap. I mean,
I wouldn't put a ton of money on it by any means.
They force it to overtime against the Saints, and the Saints get the ball first, and they stop them. And then they shit the bed on offense, give the Saints the ball at midfield, and then the Saints win. So, I don't know. Their offense is rough. I don't believe in either of these teams. So
no, I don't think either of these teams, even if they make the playoffs, I don't think they'll do much in the playoffs at all.
I think this line is going to end up closer to 4 at least, because 5.5 for the Titans and the Bears. I do think it's closer than that. I do think you're right about that. I would put money on the Bears. But yeah, the Titans did lose to the Bengals this week, and the Bengals are on their bye, so we won't get to talk about them later. But I'm just going to say this now: AFC North, next season, the best quarterback will be Joe Burrow, if he is not already the best quarterback in the North. I say that knowing that he's going to play Pittsburgh and have a horrible game this season, and Long's going to be like, he's the best quarterback.
Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow's got a lot of talent and not a lot of talent around him. In terms of offensive line, his receivers are okay.
Yeah.
His running backs are okay. But they're asking him to do a lot, and he's doing some good stuff. I mean, he's been close in a lot of games, and they finally pulled one out this week, and now they get a bye. And I think that they could be a good team in a couple of seasons if they're coached better and they get some good picks. But they got some development to do.
Yeah, other than their offensive line, I don't really know where their big holes are. I mean, they just got rid of Carlos Dunlap, who still was pretty good. But, their defense is, I guess, bad. But they can stop the run. Yeah, other than offensive line, I don't know, because his skill guys are good. But his presence in the pocket is what tells me that he's going to be great.
No, I like Joe Burrow a lot as a starting QB.
I don't really like him.
Well, I mean, I think that, he's got a lot of potential.
I don't know. He's kind of cool, but I think I hate that guy. Okay, let's move on to Jesus Christ. Oh my God, who's starting at quarterback for the Jaguars? The next game is the Texans at Jaguars. Who's starting quarterback? It's Mike Glennon, isn't it?
I don't know. Who is the Jaguars' backup QB?
Because Gardner Minshew is
he's got that broken thumb.
Thumb?
I thought it was fingers. It's something with his fingers. I think he has a broken finger or broken thumb in multiple places.
Jeez.
Well, the Jaguars.
Thumb injury, yeah.
Jake Luton.
Mike Glennon and Jake Luton, who's a rookie.
And
Mike
it says
Glennon.
Jake Luton will get starter reps in practice. Who is Jake Luton?
Oh yeah, they did just announce that an hour ago. He's a rookie. We didn't know who Gardner Minshew was either.
That's true, but where did this guy come from?
Who cares?
University of Idaho?
Idaho, jeez, man. Ever since Carson Wentz, people.
Oh wait. He went to Oregon State.
Oh, he's a Beaver.
Jesus Christ. He went to Idaho, Ventura College, and Oregon State. He went to 3 different colleges.
Wait, is Oregon State the Beavers? Yeah. Oklahoma State is the Cowboys, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, great discussion there.
So, Jake Luton is going to be starting for the Jaguars this week.
Okay, let's move on.
The Titans aren't good. The Texans aren't good. The Jaguars aren't good.
Look, man.
Who cares?
I've never been more miserable talking about this game. Can we please move on? I don't want to spend any time on this. Raiders at Chargers.
Is this better?
Yeah. Because Las Vegas and Los Angeles, you know.
I guess.
Here's the thing. If there were fans of this game, because it's in LA, they would all be Raiders fans. I promise you, every single one.
No one cares about the Chargers.
No one cares about the Chargers, and there are more Raiders fans than any other fans in this city. So, sorry, Chargers. I think Hibbert is good, but already overrated. I think he's the next Phillip Rivers because they have blown 16-point leads in 4 straight games. I think they ended up beating the Jaguars, but they still lost the 16-point lead in that. I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like you replaced a white quarterback who loses close games with a white quarterback who loses close games. So good luck.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's too bad they don't have a quarterback that wins games. That may be Tyrod Taylor. So the Chargers are 1-6, 1-7. Is that right? Yeah, and everyone's like, they could be 6-1. They lose all these close games. They beat the Bengals the first week of the season, and they got so lucky. It was on a last-second missed field goal, so they could also have no wins.
Right.
Also, Raiders, I knew they were going to be better this year. They're not good, but they're competent.
Better.
Yeah, they're just they're better than Cleveland. Which, Cleveland's almost competent this season, too. Next, this is a really good game, I think. Dolphins at Cardinals. I think that's a cool game to watch.
The Dolphins looked good this week. I do think the Cardinals are a better offensive team.
So here's the thing.
But the Cardinals' defense is not good.
The Cardinals' defense is not good. They're getting better. But
they got
here's the
Budda
thing
Baker.
about the Dolphins. The Dolphins won 28-27 against the Rams, right? And we all saw when they were up 28-7, right?
Right.
I did not watch that game, really. Did you watch it? Hell no.
I watched highlights of the defense.
Here's what I found out. The Dolphins scored 3 touchdowns that were not offensive touchdowns.
Oh, I know. I saw
They had 2
those.
defensive touchdowns and a special teams touchdown. So we don't know anything about Tua. That just happened to be a win. But that very easily, that says nothing really.
It'll be interesting because it'll be a battle of 2 young quarterbacks that we really didn't, like you said, we didn't get to see much of Tua in terms of what he can do. But I'm picking the Cardinals, man.
Yeah, Cardinals favored by 4.5. I think that the interesting thing to think about here is the Dolphins have a better coaching staff, and they know one of the reasons that they won that Rams game was because Flores, the head coach for the Dolphins, was on that defensive staff in New England. He was their coordinator when they beat the Rams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Remember the horrible Super Bowl where nobody scored? So I think he knows how to beat Jared Goff and the Rams. So I feel like if he has a nice game plan for the Cardinals, I think that could be a big difference in what we see out of Kyler. But yeah, I think the Cardinals have to be favored because I trust Kyler Murray more than Tua. But it's still an interesting game. Okay, then we have this horrible, horrible fucking game. Is this on Monday night or Sunday night? Patriots at Jets. When is this?
That is the Monday. I think this is the Monday night game, isn't it? No, sorry, that is the Sunday night game, right?
Thank God.
No, it's the Monday night game. I was wrong.
No. Wait, what was Sunday night?
Sunday night is Saints-Bucks.
Oh, that is not up yet on the lines because the Bucks play tonight. Interesting. Well, let's go to Saints-Bucks first then.
It's an important game.
What do you think about Bucks-Saints with that rematch?
It'll be the first game that Antonio Brown's playing.
Oh my gosh.
So that receiver core will be Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski. They still have another tight end who I can't remember who's good.
Yeah, I forgot. One of them got hurt, and then they still have another one. Yeah, I think Tampa Bay has so many weapons. It's very frustrating for me to see
Did you hear
team.
that Antonio Brown is living in Tampa with
Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Again? Yeah, they lived together before. Man, that would be such a great reality show if Tom really wanted to get. He had that shitty thing on Facebook or whatever. Where
I would watch the Brady Brown bunch in a heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, that should be a buddy cop movie. Seriously, I think that the Saints have been not very good this year, at all.
I think the Saints have been lucky.
They have, yeah. I kind of say lucky, which is true. They have been lucky a couple times, but they are just they don't make silly mistakes, so that feels like luck too. But they don't make mistakes in field position. Drew Brees isn't turnover prone. Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders have both been out though. So do you think that makes a difference for what their offense really looks like, or is Drew Brees just does he look different?
It's hard to say. I do think Drew Brees is on the decline, as most of these older quarterbacks are. Tom Brady isn't what Tom Brady used to be. Now, Tom Brady's decision making is still good, but it'll be interesting. I'm looking at the point differential in the two teams, and the Saints have had, in terms of point differential, they've had 206 points for and 197 against the season, and the Bucks have had 222 points for and only 142 against.
Yeah, it's huge. The Saints have won so many close games.
Right. And so the fact that they're both sitting at 5-2 right now, I got to pick the Bucks.
Yeah, I think.
And I hate Antonio Brown.
You do have to pick the Bucks here, but something about how this division is weird seems like maybe the Saints are going to win this, because if they get just one Michael Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders back, that's going to be big. And the past two games, the Bucks have not had any penalties.
Jeez.
So I don't think that holds up. I don't know. Maybe I think it does depend on what they look like tonight, right? Because if they smash the Giants, I'm like, can they do this every week?
Yeah, but the Giants doesn't say much to me. I'm so it's the Giants.
Well, that's what I'm saying is if they come out this game and they feel kind of slow and they barely win, I'm like, oh, next week they're going to come out.
Right.
But if the Saints win this, then it's such a more important game for them in the division, because if they can win this division over Tampa Bay, that's huge. So that's the most interesting game. Okay, that's Sunday night. And then Monday night, now let's get there. We have the Patriots.
You skipped a couple of Sunday games, dog.
Look.
No, you skipped the Giants versus the football team.
Oh, that's another one that's not on there because the Giants play tonight. My bad. Yeah, I think I'm going with the Washington football team. Ron Rivera has them coached well. Kyle Allen can actually kind of sort of play. Do we have to keep talking about this division?
No one cares about that game. I just wanted to make sure we knew that it existed. And then you skipped the most important game of the week.
Oh, is it Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh Cowboys, dog. That's game of the week. It's two of the oldest, most historic teams, historically the best, and then there's the Cowboys.
My bad, man. I gotta pull up the real full schedule along with the odds because that's not up because, if Andy Dalton starts, he's just gonna burn.
I do want to know what the odds for that game are.
I think the Steelers are going to be favored by at least 11. At least 11.
Because, the Cowboys are bad, and it's Andy Dalton playing, or are we getting Ben DiNucci again?
Right, exactly. And which one do you want? Man,
who cares?
I'm sure Andy Dalton will not be happy about seeing his old friend, the Steelers.
I just want to say, everyone in my fantasy league that I play with gave me flack for drafting Dalvin Cook over both Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott. And I look like a genius right now. Dalvin! Oh, also, didn't get Christian McCaffrey. Not mad about it. I'm the only person with a top 5 pick whose player is still producing. Even though he did have 2 weeks where he was off, he's still producing. So, sorry to get back on Dalvin and the Chipmunks there, but Ezekiel Elliott has been bad this year. He's been awful. And the Cowboys have been awful, but, next year's their year.
Yeah, well, Ezekiel Elliott, in the last game that I didn't watch the game last night because I have respect for myself. God damn it. But when their Monday night game against the Cardinals, he had just as many fumbles as he does nose rings. And that was 2. So, okay, yeah, and the Patriots-Jets is happening, and Cam Newton is playing, and he will probably give a speech about how he should do better afterwards. Miss you, Cam. That's all he does. Give speeches and hats. Okay, so real quick before we go to the NBA, NFL futures. I want to talk about this, man. The NFC East. There's going to be a playoff team from this division, and it is going to cost another NFC team dearly. Now we have 7 teams getting in this year, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's go through and let's see who's going to win each division real quick, okay? And then we'll see which one of these teams is going to get fucked over in the wild card spot by an NFC East team.
Well, it looks like the Eagles are going to win their division right now. They beat the Cowboys.
Let's just hold off on that division because it's like 1st to 6 wins, okay? Because everyone's like, and now the Cowboys are totally trash. Just watch. They're going to get their ass beat again. They're going to win 1 game. It's like, oh, they're back because the Eagles haven't won since then. Even Washington could make a run. The Eagles look bad.
Well, the one thing that would be a wrench right now is if the Giants beat Washington this week, because then you have 3 teams sitting at 2-6 just waiting for the Eagles to lose.
Or if the Giants play Tampa first.
That's true.
Yeah, that's not going to be a win.
Next week.
Know that.
Next week. Yeah, that's what I mean.
So NFC South, it's up in the air, but we say Tampa Bay, right?
I'm gonna say Tampa.
Do you feel confident about New Orleans getting a wild card spot?
No, because there are other teams in the NFC West that I think are going to get it before them.
I feel pretty confident about New Orleans. Okay, but all right, let's move to the NFC West then.
Regardless, New Orleans could get one of the because there is an extra wild card spot this year, so I think they could get it. Yeah.
So the NFC West, I think it's the best division.
That's a hot division
because,
right now.
If the 49ers were healthy, I would still like them.
Well, yeah, if the 49ers were healthy, that whole division could have made the playoffs if things were better in terms of how the NFC North and the NFC South have a team hanging around there. Because, you have the Bears and the whoever out of the Saints and Bucks are available.
But I just think the NFC West is going to beat themselves up, right? We know the Seahawks are going to make the playoffs and probably win the division, right? Okay, so Tampa Bay is one spot. Seahawks are another spot. Okay, we feel good about the Cardinals because their record's good. Let's look at their schedule. They have the Dolphins this week, then Bills, Seahawks, Patriots, Rams, Giants, Eagles, Niners, Rams.
There's only 2 games that I think they're definitely going to win.
Right. Okay. And then like the third on that would be the Patriots, which is saying a lot. Okay.
Right.
But still, there's just a lot to be decided because there's so many division games, and they're just going to keep beating each other up. So
yeah, that division, the fact that they have to play each other twice, and like they're all very decent, if not good. It's a little unfair that the Eagles get a spot over any of those teams, or whoever wins that division.
Let's just come back to the West and say Seahawks, and we'll be back. Okay.
Right.
So the North, we have the Packers at 5-2 and the Bears at 5-3.
I'm gonna say the Packers because the Bears' offense is bad.
Yeah, and they play each other twice still.
Right.
So that's going to be pretty telling.
But I think it's one of those teams are definitely going to win that division, right?
Yeah, definitely. The other 2 teams are trash. So when you look at the Bears' schedule, though, it's pretty. Other than these Packers games, all right, Titans this week. That's a tough one. But then you have Vikings, Packers, Lions, Texans, Vikings again, Jaguars, and then Packers.
But you say the Vikings like the Vikings are a gimme, but like the Vikings, who knows? One week they could be a gimme, and the next week they could blow you out. So who knows?
Even if they split with the Vikings, I count at least 4 wins. So they're probably going to have a winning record, even if they lose twice to the Packers. Okay, so we're not sure about this one. So that's one. Okay, so now I like compare who's going to be second in that between the Packers or Bears, either one. Are they going to have a better record than the Cardinals, the Rams, 49ers from the NFC West? You get what I'm saying?
It's going to be close.
Let's count this. There are, with 5 wins in the NFC, there's the Cardinals, the Rams, the Packers, the Bears, the Saints, the Bucks. How many teams is that?
That's 6.
That's 6 teams with 5 victories. Okay.
Wait, sorry. No, there's 7 teams with 5 victories. You have the Bucks, Saints, Bears, Packers, Rams, Cardinals. Yeah, there's 7.
And there's 7 playoff teams total. And, of course, the NFC East is going to eat up one of those spots. So there is one team
that is currently sitting on at least 5 wins that will not make it.
Right. The Seahawks have 6. So we feel good about the Seahawks, I guess.
And the Eagles are sitting there
ahead of the division at 3-4.
It's not fair, man. This is not fair. The Eagles would currently be 5th in the NFC West.
Man, it's so fucked up.
If you just moved them to the NFC West, they'd be 5th.
Man. So one of these teams, if I had to pick a team that's not going to make it based on all these teams, I think it's between the Cardinals and the Rams.
That makes sense. I could also see the Bears maybe. But I do think Cardinals and Rams is the best shout.
Because I had been early on this NFC West bandwagon, and I was saying they could get 4 teams in. They could be the first. All right. And now that I look at it, I'm realizing that each division other than the NFC East is going to have 2.
Right. It's going to be statistically hard for them to get 4, if not 3. Just because the fact that the Eagles even eat up a spot, or whoever wins the East. It's
man, and that 1 seed is super important because for both conferences, because that's the only team this year. If you're 1 seed, that's the only way you get a bye week. That's huge. So that brings us to the AFC, and the team looking at that bye week is the Steelers. And I got to be honest with you, man. I think based on your schedule too, it's going to be hard for you guys to lose that.
Yeah, I'm excited for the way our schedule's played out. We played a lot of our big games early.
Let's look at this. Next 3 weeks, Cowboys, Bengals, Jaguars.
Yeah.
Then you play the Ravens again, and that's on Thanksgiving, which is awesome. Then it's the Washington football team.
Great.
The Bills, that should be at least a good game. Bengals again. Colts, decent game. And Browns, who cannot beat you guys. That's the last week of the season. You guys may not even have anything to play for.
Yeah, I mean we got a couple big games in there, but it's gonna. I mean, what do the Chiefs have left?
The Chiefs still have to play the Buccaneers and the Saints.
Right. So I mean, let's see. They have the Bucks, let's see. Sorry.
The Panthers, Raiders,
Bucks, Broncos, Dolphins, Saints, Falcons, Chargers. It's got to be one of us to get that bye week. It's either going to be us or the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs' schedule outside of the Saints and the Bucks is not that bad.
Look, I think the Chiefs are going to lose one more game, at least.
But, I mean, outside...
Are you guys going to lose 2 more games? Doubtful. It would take some real...
It would be interesting. I don't know. It would probably be the Ravens game. I can't think of anything else. I mean, Josh Allen, I don't think he's going to be able to do anything against our defense. I mean, he struggled.
I guess, the Bills would be the only
He struggled against good defenses, and we're pretty damn good.
I will say, you know this better than I do, that you guys do have a tendency to kind of...
We play down.
Shit the bed a little bit.
We play down against bad teams. We saw that with the Eagles.
Bet of the week. Bet of the week. I know we're doing a future thing right now, but bet of the week. If you can find money on Ben Roethlisberger to throw an interception this week, I would love it, because even though it's the horrible Cowboys, y'all are going to be winning by so much that he's not going to give a fuck, and that's what he does, right?
Fuck it, I'm throwing it up.
Yeah, I'm just throwing this shit. It's probably going to turn out well. Okay, so in the AFC, to me, it's obviously between the Chiefs and the Steelers, and I think it would be kind of miraculous if the Ravens went on a postseason run.
Right.
But I'm also still definitely picking the Chiefs. like people are saying Russell Wilson MVP this year. Mahomes threw for 400 yards yesterday. I know it was the Jets, man, but like Scott's pretty good.
Yeah, no, I like Patrick Mahomes a lot. I just hope that it pans out to where the Steelers are in a better place come playoffs than the Chiefs are. Just because I think that's we could very well see a Steelers-Chiefs AFC championship game.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh. I mean, either place is going to have weird weather, but there will be some fans, and the bye week is what's more important, right?
Right. But based on the playoffs, I mean, right now the Bills are making it. The Chiefs, the Steelers, the Titans, or the Colts.
Yeah, so I think the Titans and Colts will probably both make it.
And then I think the Ravens will end up in there.
The Ravens and the Steelers will both make it. The Browns might.
So that leaves one spot. That leaves one spot to either the Browns,
the Dolphins, or the Raiders.
The Dolphins, the Raiders.
See, that Raiders win yesterday was huge against the Browns because of this. But the Browns' schedule, Texans, Eagles, Jaguars, Titans, Ravens, that's probably not good. But then Giants, Jets, and then Steelers.
I count 5 wins.
Yeah, it seems to me like the Browns are a team that this year they have been beating the teams they're supposed to beat and then getting crushed by the good teams. So I think that schedule is what it looks like.
Yeah, I count a 10-win Browns, which is hard to say.
10-win Brown.
Just no, like not physically hard to say, but hard to actually compute in my head that the Browns might win 10 games
and be third in the division. But it doesn't feel that good for them this year. You would think they would be like, "Oh my God, we're good." No, they just got beat by their 2 older brothers. Like
you're just good enough.
Man. Okay, let's move on from the NFL. Any other closing thoughts on the NFL?
Go Steelers.
Okay. Hey, should Carson Wentz be benched?
Yes. At this point, try Jalen Hurts. Try anything.
Yeah, so Carson should go back from whence he came.
I hate you.
Okay.
That was painful.
All right, man. NBA basketball.
I already miss it.
Me too, man. I really do. I don't know. It's like playoff basketball is the best thing in the world to me. I just love how like the series works and the stakes are so high. Like regular season basketball is still entertaining to me. I know not everyone feels that way, but like I will still watch a full game. But not having a game on every night sucks.
Yeah, it's been a little boring at times. At least not having a game every other night.
Yeah. And like, man, I miss LeBron. I miss him already. But it looks like we're not going to have to wait that long. They were actually talking about coming back December 22nd. It's not official yet. But they really want to get that Christmas game going. Too short, too long? What do you think?
If the players are down with it, then I can't say anything. I mean, if that's what the players want, that's what the players want, you know? If they're down to play that early, then let them.
I mean, I have to agree with you there. If I'm not going to disagree with someone who has to do it. But I think ultimately the league needs to make money right now for the players, not just like a money thing, but like this season, the salaries are going to be really affected already. So as little as that impact as there can be would be the best. I'm excited personally to get it back sooner.
Right.
But here's the thing, man. Rudy Gobert tested positive. We shut down the league in the middle of March. It's like March 12th, March 13th, something like that. Okay. And from that point, it was a long time. I'm literally typing this in as I'm saying this. There was such a long time. Okay, it started July 30th. That's when the seeding game started, was July 30th. So they got there in July. They got there at the beginning of July to like quarantine. Okay. So March, middle of March, April, May, June. That was over 3 months off, okay? That's longer than a normal off season.
Yeah.
So if you think about it like that, then like I'm less worried because me, especially someone who loves LeBron right now, like, and wants them to win another chip, it's like, oh man, their bodies are gonna, what the fuck? And of course it's different when he's just finished playing playoff basketball, but like they did get that break, so I'm less worried about it. Because my thought would be, and I think they might should still do this, each team that was in the bubble in the playoffs should get one win for each round they were in the playoffs for this season. What do you think about that? So the Heat and the Lakers would get 4 to start off.
The Lakers don't get 5 for winning it all?
They should, but you know.
Yeah, you're just talking about pure weeks. I don't know. I could see a lot of people complaining about that. I get why you would do it, but
it's really all about the Warriors because they're looking stacked. So that brings us to, you know, the draft is coming up really soon, and you know neither of us are fans of a team, I guess, per se in the NBA. We're NBA fans,
right? We like players.
Yeah, and I try to support the Hornets, but because when I was a kid I liked them. Then they moved away, and they've never returned.
And now they suck.
No, they've never returned.
Oh, yeah, I don't know who that is we're talking about.
They disappeared in the New Orleans night. Some voodoo.
And then an imposter showed up and pretended that they were the same team.
The Hornets have never gotten a number 1 overall pick. Okay, never.
No matter how historically bad they are. Now, they did get a better pick than they were expecting this year.
They did. And they moved up in the top 3. And this draft is notoriously known right now as being really weak at the top and good in the middle. So that sounds about right.
And also, when the Hornets do get a good pick, they seem to screw it up.
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
I was thinking Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
What's the? Do you remember Alex Morrison?
Oh my gosh, diabetes.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I just know he had a really bad mustache.
He would like have to like what's the thing, like the needle you shoot? It's not heroin.
Insulin?
It's insulin.
Insulin.
Yeah, insulin.
He'd have to take insulin in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Trash. Yeah, they have been horrible at selecting players, but they never got a number 1 pick. But the Minnesota Timberwolves, they got Karl Anthony Towns, who was number 1 overall, and then they just traded away Andrew Wiggins in order to get D'Angelo Russell, who was number 2 overall, and now they have the number 1 overall pick. They're trying desperately to trade it, and if the Hornets decide this is their chance to get a number 1 overall pick, God. What do you want me to say? I'm already mad at you guys all the time. What do you want me to do?
I'm already mad at you guys all the time.
If they trade up to get James Wiseman, I'll be so mad. You traded up to get a center. Unless you think this guy is like the next dude, which no one thinks that. It's like no matter who they pick, it's going to end up being a bust because that's what they do. But I want them to get LaMelo because, like, let's take a risk.
At least it's an interesting risk.
Yeah, man. We even recently, Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, their most recent draft picks have been all right, but like they need a star if they're ever going to do anything. And LaMelo's probably not that.
At least LaMelo is interesting.
Yeah.
And also, like, what are you going to do to trade up 2 spots? Like, that's... If I'm the Timberwolves, you want to trade me for 2 spots? Hell yeah. I don't need this guy. It's 2 spots.
We have to look at the Boston Philadelphia trade from a couple years ago as a prime example of what not to do here. Okay? Philadelphia had number 3. Boston had number 1. They were like, yeah, we'll flip-flop with you. We'll let you get number 1. Just give us a couple more things, couple of picks in the future. You can get it. They're like, sweet, we got Markelle Fultz. This worked out great. It's like, if they're willing to trade number 1,
there's a reason.
This is the draft to wait for number 3, get the best available, and move forward. Anyway, that's my Hornets rant.
You know, it really feels like the Hornets are going to do what the Hornets do and disappoint everyone.
But Michael Jordan's in NASCAR now, so maybe that'll work out. What about the Warriors? People suspect they're going to end up packaging this pick with Andrew Wiggins at some point, if not at the beginning of the season, then later. Out of Edwards and Wiseman and LaMelo, who fits the best in the Warriors? Is it Wiseman just because they need a center?
Maybe that would make the most sense, I guess, because they don't need LaMelo.
The Warriors are the best fit for any of the draft picks, but what is the best draft pick?
Exactly. I don't really know. I mean, I think getting rid of it before would make the most sense for something big, but I just don't know what.
Yeah, same. So we'll talk more about the draft later. I got this idea, Long. Tell me if you think we can do this. You know, like you can put a YouTube video like in a little screen on your thing and do a reaction to it.
Mm-hmm.
So what if, like, towards draft night, we did it for these top prospects, and then we watched their, like, highlight sizzle reel? Because we don't know shit about these people. We haven't watched any of these people play in over a year now.
Yeah, we haven't got to see college basketball in a minute.
And that's for even the people that play college basketball. James Wiseman was out quick. LaMelo was in where did he, Tasmania? Right? I think that's where he played.
Not anywhere that I watch basketball.
Right. So Instagram, I think that's where he played. So yeah, maybe we could do that when we get closer to the draft, and like at that point, a lot of off-season stuff's going to be happening. Long, did you see Daryl Morey went to Philadelphia?
Really?
Yeah, Daryl Morey, one of the best GMs. He wrote a musical called Small Ball. That we're going to have him on this podcast.
I forget about this.
And once we have him on the podcast, we'll lose all of our audience in China, probably.
I don't understand why.
We can't really speak on it yet. We don't want to lose it until we get Daryl Morey. I thought this was so interesting, though, because, one, we thought, Elton Brand kind of already had that job, but they hired Daryl Morey as, like, the president of it. So, then the general manager is kind of just more of a middle manager. And then Doc Rivers is already there. Do you think this was planned before he left Houston?
What do you mean?
Daryl Morey left Houston. Do you think he knew he was going to Philadelphia before this?
You're asking if he was tampered with?
Look, man, would you walk away from a job
without knowing you had another job? It would make sense.
I think he at least had to have some suspicion.
Right.
He almost went to Philly last year or 2 years ago, but got a contract extension to stay in Houston.
Right.
Then the weird part about it to me was when he left Houston, he was like, I'm going to stay and help with the coaching hire. And then they hired Steven Silas in Houston, and that is who Daryl Morey wanted to be the coach when they initially hired D'Antoni. So it's just weird to me. And a lot of people think that there's going to be a trade between Houston and Philly, a star power trade. I don't think that's going to happen, at least not this offseason. But what do you think about that rumor and what is the best scenario of those potential Philadelphia-Houston trades with Harden, Embiid, and Simmons all in the mix?
I don't think it matters because I don't see any of those stars being the star that you need to win a title.
To win a title, but to get out of the East.
To be competitive, I mean, yeah, both.
I think it would be harder for Houston to make a move for us to go, oh shit, they could win.
Right.
They could, but I think Philadelphia, look, if Philadelphia makes the right moves, they're going to match up well against the Lakers. They're going to match up well against the Clippers because the Clippers couldn't guard Jokic. Now that's assuming Philadelphia does a lot, and if Embiid is there, he's crushing it, right? I think the most interesting version of this is trading Simmons to Houston, but you cannot have Westbrook and Simmons together.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
So really, I think the trade that would actually help both of these teams immediately is Embiid traded for Harden.
God, I don't like that at all. Not that I don't like the trade. I just don't care for either of those players.
Philly and James Harden, that doesn't make sense. Like the Philly sports fans with James Harden, that mentality doesn't add up. But I definitely like better for Philadelphia is to find a way to get Chris Paul and hold on to Simmons and Embiid. I think that's much more possible. Daryl Morey has a history, did not want to get rid of Chris Paul when they got Westbrook.
It's surprising that Chris Paul got kicked out like that because Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul's great for people to play with. And it just kind of sucks that it seems like James Harden didn't like Chris Paul.
That was really it. That just seems like they didn't get along, and he was like, "Get him out. I'd rather have Westbrook." And they were the closest team to beating that Warriors squad, so they were really close. And
right,
I want to see Chris Paul succeed. I think he could really help.
I like Chris Paul. I want Chris Paul to get a title with a team that appreciates him for what he's worth, and I thought that the Oklahoma City Thunder had a nice little run this bubble.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I was hoping for more success from them, but it was a hard ask. It was a very hard ask.
I still like this idea, and I don't think they're going to do it because Daryl Morey is very much a star-oriented player. I don't think he'll trade Simmons or Embiid unless he's getting a real star in their prime back.
Right.
But I would still... Both teams, I would do this. I would trade CP3 and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and I would trade them for Ben Simmons. I think that immediately puts you in title contention if you're Philly, and it's a good piece to play with Embiid later. And Simmons is a foundational block for OKC. They could build their team around that.
Right. And I mean, both teams are getting someone young, and I mean, Ben Simmons is worth more than Shai Gilgeous. I can never say his fucking last name. SGA.
Well, I think even if the Thunder had to throw in a couple first-round picks, which they're loaded with, I think I would still do it if I was the Thunder.
But, I mean, and it makes sense as a trade because you're getting a young player and you're getting someone that would also temporarily fill that point guard position who is good. I mean, Chris Paul's still very good.
Very good.
And so you're getting some solutions to some problems.
And I think someone who's going to make Embiid better.
Right. And someone that can shoot the ball.
And going to make Harris better and Horford better.
Right.
Now the key is, I think I'm not Presti. I think Morey will find a way to get Chris Paul without giving up one of his stars, or Chris Paul is going to go to the Lakers or the Clippers. Those seem to be the three main teams that are rumored. I think the Bucks are stupid if they don't try to do anything. But out of the Clippers, Lakers, and 76ers, where do you want to see Chris Paul?
I think the Lakers is the most fun.
Yeah.
I don't like the Clippers. I don't know, man. They were just such a letdown this postseason that I don't want him to go there because I still don't think they'll do it.
Well, if he goes to the Clippers, then I'll probably like the Clippers more just because I liked the Clippers more when he played there.
Right.
But it would be cool in the sense of if he goes back there and they do win, he will be the man.
Yes.
That did that. It won't be about Kawhi going there and doing it. It'll be that
Kawhi
Chris Paul
couldn't do
is
it.
the savior of the franchise. He was and he will be.
He was the franchise. He still is the franchise.
But what's better is that he goes to the Lakers, and the Lakers are big brother the Clippers still, and it's risky for the Lakers because I think everyone just like having old stars, you know, it adds up. The risk adds up, and Anthony Davis also injury prone, and it's a short season and all that stuff. But I want to see him on the Lakers too. Okay, real quick, you know, we haven't had an episode since the bubble, so let's do our bubble all-star team. You know, our shout-outs from the bubble, people that we feel like improved their stock the most being in the bubble.
Okay. I'm going to pick Jamal Murray.
Yeah, Jamal Murray went off.
I like Jamal Murray. I think that he proved that, you know, he is good. He is a star of sorts. I think that, you know, he proved that, like, yeah, I can lead a team. I can be the big player in the big moments when we need it. So I'm going to go with Jamal Murray. I like Jamal Murray.
Yeah, shot ridiculous. He shot ridiculous in clutch situations. I'm going to go with the best player of all time, and LeBron James.
See, I understand that. I just feel like his ceiling or not his ceiling, but like his need to increase his stock was not as bad.
Well, yeah, because you're a sane person.
Definitely.
Because you already know, like, I know he's been the best player, but if he had lost this series, it would have been some permanent stain if he had not won against the Heat.
Right.
So he may have just saved a lot of legacy there, but still. And if he ends up, you know, getting 6, this is that much more important.
Right. I guess my next pick, I'm gonna go with Luka.
Bitch ass white boy.
Luka proved that he's a star, man. Like, yeah, he has some little kerfuffles and stuff whenever he is tasked with bringing a team back. He does like to force shots, but he proved he can hit big shots too. And so I like Luka Doncic.
If someone from the future, from 2040, was like, I have seen the greatest basketball player of all time, and they're currently playing in your NBA, but it's not LeBron James. Who would you say it would be?
Yeah, probably be leaning to Luka, but also if someone would have told me that, I would have been picking my bubble top team, and both the players I would have picked are foreign players, I would have also thought I was crazy.
Canada?
What?
Canada's not foreign.
It's not American.
Just kidding. Yeah. The only other person I would say along with Luka that would have a chance there is Dwight Howard. Just kidding. Wanted to mention him in this bubble conversation because he's not going to make either of our teams here, I don't think. But my next player is a throwback. Rajon Rondo did a lot for his stock. Winning with the Celtics and the Lakers, that's going to be pretty big.
He showed that he is still a defensive player, man. He showed he can ball out on defense, man.
Yeah, especially when he's in a series. Like, they talk about playoff Rondo being a thing, and like he doesn't like that, and like it implies that he only tries in the playoffs. But I just think his skill set is better in the playoffs because he's that smart and he figures out people's moves and he gets under people's skin, and he wins that intellectual war. And his free agency is a big deal right now between the Clippers and Lakers. They're going to have a bidding war. His price is going up. So definitely did something for his stock.
I'll agree with that. I mean, that makes sense.
Future head coach.
I guess my next player would be Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Neutron.
Jimmy Butler went out and said, hey, guess what? I can still win, even though, Minnesota had its issues with me and me in Philadelphia didn't work out. Like, it's not always me. It's not my fault all the time. I can ball, and he can ball.
And also that commercial where he was packing for the bubble and singing Hall & Oates. That did a lot for his stock, too.
He was out there selling coffee like it was nobody's business.
And then he had a sign, he was like, no, you can't pay me back. Like, you pay now or that's it. Yeah, man, it's great for the coffee brand. He was drinking that shit, like, walking into the stadium.
Out here just selling his coffee.
Genius. That's, like, such a hustler move.
Man is a marketing genius.
And that NBA Finals Game 5 is historic, really. Like, that was up there with one of the LeBron versus the Warriors games where he just took over. Okay, so I'm going to go with Jimmy Neutron then. Duncan Robinson. He struggled in the finals, but he had that one game where he went the fuck off.
If you don't understand the Jimmy Neutron reference, the Lakers bench kept, every time he'd get the ball, kept yelling Jimmy Neutron at him.
Jimmy Neutron.
So,
wait, how does the song go?
Into the stars to buy candy bars.
Oh, man.
Oh, Jimmy Neutron.
That's better than Duncan Robinson because I've said before that name sounds like a 2K generated name. Just Tim Duncan, David Robinson.
Duncan Robinson. Oh, Lord. So you're going to take Duncan Robinson. I'm going to take another Heat player. I'm going to go with Tyler Hero. The stock is up on Tyler Hero. Now, is he going to have a down year next year? I think it won't be as good as this year. But as of right now, his stock is way higher than it was coming into the bubble.
Yeah, man. I bought into that propaganda of him and Jimmy Butler, like, being best friends and, like, battling every day in practice. I'm like, oh, man, he's getting so much better playing Jimmy Butler. But, yeah, Tyler Hero is definitely going to annoy me pretty soon. He already started to a little bit. We get it. That little, like, the little grin he did, like the snarl.
The snarl.
Yeah. All right, calm down, man.
You didn't like the snarl?
Nah,
you didn't
I
dig
did,
the snarl,
but I was
man.
like, all right, bro. You still...
I dug the snarl in the moment.
Yeah, but you were like, oh, that's cool, like, right? It wasn't like, damn, he's intimidating. It wasn't that. Like,
it was like, damn, dude really believes in himself.
Yeah, that's really what it was. I think he's gonna turn into J.R. Smith, but like a little better, but like J.R. Smith maybe. And that's my next pick, J.R. Smith, because if you notice, J.R. Smith was the first one holding the trophy. They had him on the stand. He was like, "Can I touch it? Can I touch it?" And yes,
the first one to take his shirt off.
He already had his shirt off. That's right. Because once Obama has mentioned it, then like, it's cool. It's your thing. It's your thing, JR.
Is that really your pick, dog?
Bro, hell yeah. What was your last image of J.R. Smith before this championship?
Touche.
It was that pass.
Okay, well, if you're picking that shirtless man, I'm going with the shirtless goat, Alex Caruso.
Ooh. He was like, what are you
doing? Air Caruso went off, man. He proved that he's not just a G leaguer.
Did you notice that the Lakers had the least amount of sayings on their jerseys? I
did not.
Because like LeBron didn't do it. Anthony Davis, Rondo. A lot of players on the Lakers didn't have anything on the back of their jersey, a saying. But you know who did?
Alex Caruso.
Yes, sir. Yeah, right there. Black Lives Matter. He was like, I'm putting it on mine.
I love Alex Caruso, man.
Me too. High flyer.
Let the hair go, though.
And, like, I actually remember, like, they had the G League, the South Bay Lakers on a lot when I was at the gym, when gyms were open. And I remember watching Caruso a couple times. Like, this dude's balling. And then he ended up on the team. I was like, oh, that's cool. What a cool story. The Lakers suck, but, like, this guy's playing. Yeah, now he's, he's better than Dalvin.
He was an important part of their team too. Like he played some good minutes.
The Lakers aren't guaranteed to return a lot of players from last year. A lot of players like have rather options or they are going to be free agents, but they're guaranteed to return these 5 players. And I think it's a pretty good starting point.
Alex Caruso better be one of them.
It's LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Danny Green, Kyle Kuzma, and Alex Caruso.
I could deal without Kyle Kuzma, though.
I think Kuzma and Green are going to get traded. Okay. We got one more pick. Is this it?
Yeah. I started, so this is your last one.
Oh, man. All right, so... Wow, he took Caruso off the board.
I think you should think of someone that didn't make the final or make the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... it's tough. It's between...
There's 2 players that didn't make the playoffs that I think deserve a mention here.
What's the girl's name that hung out with the Phoenix Suns? That may be honorable mention. Because I want to mention the Suns, but it's really between Donovan Mitchell and Jokic for me.
See, I'm also thinking Devin Booker, but I understand that.
Donovan Mitchell almost outplayed Jamal Murray in that first series. Remember this?
I agree with
them
that.
Back and forth, they almost won that. And I think now he's in a position where if he was like, I can't play Rudy Gobert, they'll listen to him. And before, I thought they were equals. But I'm going to go with Jokic because he's changing how the Western Conference is looking at their offseason. They know they have to find someone to guard him and to guard Anthony Davis. But they definitely have to think about size. And Jokic, he's just, like, dominant in the playoffs. Like, he was so good offensively in clutch situations. Like, it was amazing how he would take over games on the offensive end. So
yeah, I mean, that completely makes sense. But I do think that honorable mentions have to go to Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker. I think both of them had a great time in the bubble. And it's these young players that really went off in the bubble and kind of proved that they're good and worth thinking about. I mean, the youth in the bubble was showing out.
Yeah, man.
So.
And I think that goes to two things in particular. One is that we were coming off of basically an off season. We said before it was a long time, right? And so if you were a rookie, it was kind of like it was your second year because you had an off season to work on your game after learning what you've learned and experiencing the competition of the NBA. And the other thing is that, look, young players, role players are worse in road games, and road games didn't exist.
Yeah, everything was where they're at.
And like when you're a shooter,
well, also,
it matters a lot about depth perception. And once you get used to it, there's no adjustment. There's no crowds being different. There's no different movements, different arenas. It's all one arena. So you saw people get locked in.
These young players have played in neutral settings not too long ago, with the tournaments. You know.
Yeah. NCAA tournaments, AAU. Like,
right, and
this
so
is how they play their whole lives.
It's a different feel, and I mean they're used to going away and playing in one setting for a couple of games and not traveling, and so this did benefit them just in terms of like, okay, this is something that I've done something like before.
Right, and you think about LeBron in the playoffs has always put himself in a bubble. He doesn't get on social media, right, and he kind of becomes closed off. But this year he did the opposite because the bubble was going to be too much of a bubble. So,
well, and also he did the opposite this year because a lot was going on outside of the bubble and he needed to.
Yeah, and he had to. That's right.
And so, I mean, I respect LeBron for that as well. He definitely changed who he was inside of the playoffs because the world kind of needed. And I know people are like, oh, we don't need the voice of an athlete. No, we do. We need people in power and prominent positions of social standing to stand up to so that we know that their voice and our voice is important. So.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad we started and ended on politics. Oh, wait. We forgot. We have a whole nother third of the show left. It's the baseball third. The Dodgers.
The Dodgers won. End.
That's nope. Hold on. What about this Justin Turner guy?
Oh my God.
That's what I want to talk about.
If you know that someone on your team has tested positive, why do you let him celebrate with the team after you went? Like, yeah, cool, he wants to be part of the celebration because you win, but like, they didn't know if the Dodgers were going to be able to come home because he could have got the whole team infected.
Yeah, man, he was kissing his wife on national TV. Like, and if you're like, oh well, if I had it doesn't matter. Like, my wife already probably has it and shit. Like, you're just not taking this shit seriously at all. Like,
I mean, why would you not exercise an abundance of precaution at this moment?
Yeah, like that was unbelievable to me. And Major League Baseball is so fucking lucky that did not go to 7 games because they would have had to stop play. They would have had to stop. And what if they couldn't return? What if time passed? Major League Baseball would have fulfilled its TV contracts. They would not have had a very big incentive other than to crown a champion. So, yeah.
I don't understand the mentality of why you let this man come on the field knowing what you know about his current state of health. It is very irresponsible. It is very ignorant. It's the opposite of what the NBA has been through this process.
We shut down the whole league when one person got it.
Baseball has been behind on this the whole time. I mean, we had multiple teams getting sick throughout this quick startup. Baseball has not been responsible in the way that Adam Silver in the NBA has.
And we're never going to know if he spread it to people. They're not going home and testing and then publicizing that. They're not doing that.
There's no need to. They already won. It's over. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, that was pretty shitty to see. But, I do live in the city of champions right now, Los Angeles.
Regardless, one team was going to be champs because you also had the NHL champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think that's the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm just messing with you. Just had to throw a little shade at NHL. But yes, so I mean, LA is the city of champions. I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl though. So
doubtful. Well, all right, man. This was fun.
Yeah, man.
Catch up on a Monday after a whole bunch of NFL. I felt hungover yesterday from watching so much football,
and by the next time we talk, it'll be past the election. So who knows what it'll be like then?
Who knows?
Who knows what the world's gonna be?
Who knows?
But yeah, man.
Seriously, who knows?
Black people are people first, not black. Black faces are more than black face. The diaspora of blackness and its reach is felt all over the world, baby. How are you turning your view from portrait to landscape? How are you supporting Black lives without knowing a Black life? You can't. It's about relationship and perspective, y'all. So you coming to the cookout or... Because I know you're curious about mac and cheese and sweet potato pie. Join us as we listen, share, and reflect on the interesting lives of human beings wrapped in black bodies. Sit briefly in discomfort so those very bodies can heal. What happens when black bodies focus on living and not just surviving? I don't know. That world doesn't exist. But maybe we can get there together. Welcome to Free Black Millennials, the podcast.
Subscribe to this podcast and other podcasts now from Stage to Stream.